so much.
Welcome to Narratives and Nightcaps, books, beverages, and author conversations. I'm Bree, always ready to dive into new fantasy worlds and take a step back in time.
I'm Megan, part critic, always team physical copy, and forever chasing good thrillers and a great plot twist.
I'm Emily, your resident mood reader who thrives on chaos questions and lively book chats.
And I'm Jordan, equal parts heart, humor, and high-functioning caffeine addict. I come with coffee in hand, wine on standby, and a Gilmore Girls quote for every occasion.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Welcome back to Narratives and Nightcaps. She's known for her feel-good, whimsical, laugh-out-loud stories, and she made us forever fans in 2024 with The Love of My Afterlife. Today, we are delighted to have Kirsty Greenwood back on the show to talk about her newest release, Romantic Hero. Hi, Kirsty.
Hello, guys. I'm so happy to be back here. I had the best time like 2 years ago. We had such a good natter.
It was so good. I love telling people about that because it did. I was like, it felt like we'd known her forever. We just talked about books and everything else.
We just properly gabbed and it was lovely. So as soon as my publicist was like, narratives and nightcaps, I was like, yes, please.
This was one that I told Bree, because I've had another child, I think, since we last talked.
Oh wow! Congratulations!
Thank you.
Gosh.
So now she's almost 2 years old, so I've been like kind of hit or miss on being able to make the interviews as much as possible with having two little kids at home. And so when Bree told me that your next book was releasing, I was like, I have to be on this. I have to talk to her again. I know it's been 2 years, but like, bring me back. I want to be part of it. So I'm so glad to be here with you again.
Oh my God, that's so nice.
Well, before we dive into our random assortment of questions and then really talk about Romantic Hero, what are you pairing with this book? Or what are you even drinking today in general?
Okay, well, today I'm on the water because we're in the middle of a heat wave in London. It's bonkers. So, but for this book, I'm pairing, and I think I chose a vodka martini last time. This time I'm choosing English breakfast tea because in the book, it's a Texan cowboy, River, who is dropped into London, and he tries to learn how to make a perfect cup of tea for Gertie, because she keeps giving him tea, and he's like, "This is disgusting, like brown boiled slurp." And so I want to pair today with a very good cup of English breakfast tea with milk and 2 sugars. Made exactly how I like it.
Perfect.
But I can't drink it today. It's so hot.
I was going to ask, like, is that a year-round drink or is it more seasonal, just depending on the weather?
I mean, I will try my best. Like last night, I didn't have a cup of tea all day because it was so hot. But in the bedroom, we've got a little because air conditioning isn't a common thing in England. But in the bedroom, we've got like a portable unit, and so I went and sat in the cold bedroom just so I could have a cup of tea in the cold room because I was missing it so much. So it's not really seasonal, I don't think, for many Brits. It's pretty much like a staple of every day. It's just that the heat is so insane that it would feel really just bonkers to drink it like in this weather.
I do remember, so I'm not much of a tea drinker, although Megan knows this. I'm trying to be, not English breakfast tea, but when I was in London years ago, that was the best tea I've ever had. And I wish that I could recreate it. I'm currently drinking a different herbal tea for other reasons, and it's been a rough journey. Even the other night, my husband and I were sitting on the couch, and I was like, I have to drink my tea. So I go make it. I let it steep for a while, and I brought it down and I sat it there, and I would just take a sip, and I was like, yum. I was like, it's so good. And I kept, every time I would take a sip, I kept thinking, it's going to get better, right? I'm going to adjust. My palate is going to think, oh, okay, we know what this is now. I drank 3/4 of it, and I looked at him and I go, that's enough, right? I drank.
I did the tea.
Yeah.
It's so funny because like you look on Instagram and people drink tea and it's so aesthetic. They cradle the mug with both hands and they've got like a floaty jumper on, like with the and it's like, and they film like the pouring of the tea and it all looks so romantic. But most of these herbal teas are a little bit like
Yes.
you really try.
I'm really working on it. I'm doing my best. I keep thinking that every day it'll get better, but I'm sure there are other teas out there that I think will be really good, and hopefully next time we're back in the UK we can have good English breakfast tea, which I want to talk to you about too. But first, sort of in the spirit of the World Cup, which for the US is now an interesting thing to talk about, but for just the general World Cup, and we wanted to know, how do you feel about some of the like American meals that have been all the rage on TikTok and Instagram? Have you seen all of that?
Ooh, I have not seen that, but I've just come back from the US, so I have been trying like a few American things. So, like, tell me what they are, and I'll tell you if I know.
The biggest one that I've seen are like the TSA confiscations of ranch dressing that people are trying to like bring back with them. And like they're just throwing away like bottles and bottles of ranch because you can't bring it back with you.
No, oh my God, because you have like ranch dressing. It's like very common there. It's not so common here. Is it like Paul Newman? Paul Newman.
That's a brand of one. Yes.
Yeah. That's the only one I know.
Great recall there.
Yeah. So like people are really into ranch, the ranch dressing over there.
They're super into ranch. Their Waffle House has been an eye-opening experience for people. Okay, what were your thoughts on Waffle House?
Okay. Oh, well, I did an event with Ashley Poston, and then we were driving to another event. So we were driving from Indiana to Ohio. And so she was like, you have to try Waffle House. It's like a quintessential American road trip experience. So we went there and I loved it. It was just so, it felt so American, like the America that I saw on movies growing up, like a proper diner. And the food and the fact that they gave you free coffee refills was like incredible. And the food was gorgeous. We had hash browns, smothered and covered, I had. And then we tried grits, which I wasn't super into the grits. But I loved the hash browns. And my husband had, was it like hash browns with like bits of sausage in? It was really nice, and the waitress was really nice. And then we went to an event that evening, and someone said that to get the best Waffle House experience, you had to go at 1 a.m. apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. So like apparently like you just get like every single type of person in there at 1 a.m. and it's like a bit of a party.
I believe it. It's probably been a while since I've done that.
Yeah. Is it like a student thing, apparently? Like a graduate or like university people, like after they've gone out to the bar and stuff?
Yeah, I would say if you're in a college town, then it's typically an after bar experience. But you see it all. You can see it all at 1 a.m. in a Waffle House.
Because Waffle Houses. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go on.
Well, I was just gonna say they're 24 hours, right? Because I'm in the Midwest, and Waffle House is not as popular here. But as you drive south and you drive like southeast, especially, I feel like it becomes more and more seen. But I remember you telling me, Bree, that like, especially in Florida, like bad weather is coming, or it's bad out. If a Waffle House closes down, like then they're open all the time.
Yeah, I was just gonna. Yes, it's a real thing. So when especially if there are hurricanes and stuff, it's an actual, I don't know what agency it is, but it's a real test that they use based on how many Waffle Houses are closed and where they're open. And so when we have had really bad storms before where we like haven't had food or anything, Waffle Houses are the first place we try to go, because they are always the first. They either didn't close or they're always the first ones open. But the lines will be insane. It will be so crazy. You will wait for hours for food at a Waffle House if there's a storm.
That's bonkers. Wow. But good to know that they're so steadfast and they're just like I just imagine them like there's like rain pelting at the windows, like lightning striking the Waffle House, and they're just there flipping the burgers and like making the hash browns and refilling the coffee like
They're
in a
truly,
tornado.
yes,
Oh my
the
goodness. I
Afghans of
have,
America.
yeah. Okay, well, wait, on that note though, did I see that you also survived a Midwest tornado while you were on tour?
Yes. Oh my God. And
Where were you?
so we were beautiful Wild Geese bookshop. So in Indiana, Indianapolis. Well, it was like Franklin. And we were we were at a beautiful venue called the Garment Factory, and we'd been warned. So Ash had got an email from her publicist just to say like there's a tornado warning, and we were like, okay. She was kind of more used to it. She's from South Carolina, and she was like, I've experienced like this is kind of common. I found it quite exciting. I was like, this is drama. We don't have tornadoes in the UK, or we have pretty mild weather. So I was like, oh, this is kind of exciting. And then I think it was like 20 minutes into the event, the bookseller, the owner of Wild Geese, said like we have to evacuate the building. You all have to go home because it's set to hit in an hour. And so Ash and I didn't have time because we were staying downtown Indianapolis. We didn't have time to get back. So everyone who didn't have time to get back had to go to Wild Geese Bookshop, because they have a tornado shelter in the basement. So we all hunkered down there. And they brought us like snacks and drinks, and we just like had like it was a really cute, like cozy chat, like behind the scenes at the bookshop. I was buzzing. And I was trying to keep a really serious face because they were like, this is serious, like this is a real warning. And I was like, because I was just thinking, I'm going to tell everybody about this. This is the coolest thing ever. I got to hide out in a bookshop. And then we were told that we had a 45-minute window of like safety to get home. And Ash was driving, and we just got caught in a storm cell. It was horrendous. Like there were cars coming off the road. There were like we couldn't see because of the rain was coming so hard. Like the lightning was just striking again and again and again in front of us, and we genuinely thought that we were going to die. And we were driving through a place called Greenwood. And I said to Ashley, I was like, I can't die. Me, Kirsty Greenwood, cannot die in a place called Greenwood. And she said, if that was in a book, your editor would say, take this out, it's too on the nose. So it was so terrifying. And we were both trying to keep up conversation and pretend that it was okay. Because Ash had said, oh, I'm used to driving in all kinds of situations. But then she was like, oh, no, this is really bad. And then we made it back to the hotel eventually. We were stuck in this storm cell for like 20 minutes. It was awful. And then we made it back to the hotel, and we just headed straight to the bar. We were like, vodka. We need vodka. And we just like, we were just like, what the hell like just happened. So it was, I mean, now in hindsight I'm like, it was exciting, but at the time like my heart was going and it was really scary.
Oh my gosh.
Do you experience these things a lot?
Yes. Yeah.
So you're and you're sirens and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And where Megan's at, they do. Yeah.
For sure.
Wow. That would terrify me, the siren.
We try to downplay it a little bit, as you were doing to yourself, because
yes,
we have little ones at home. And so we're trying not to like make every storm like, oh my gosh, it's a tornado. But I feel like, especially this time of year, I mean, it is tornado season right now.
Yes. Yeah. I can't even imagine, because it just seems like such an abstract thing to me. The only thing I know about tornadoes is the Wizard of Oz. It just seems like a
whimsical,
like a whimsical.
Yeah.
Well,
the reality is bloody scary.
Yeah, it is. I mean, even this year, my mom texted me, a couple of months ago, and she's like, today marks 20 years since that, when you and I were trapped in that city because of a tornado. And then, I mean, it is interesting how I at least have numerous milestones marked by major storms
Weather. Yeah.
growing up in the Midwest.
Really?
Yeah. And
What do you mean? Like, what, sweet 16th in a hurricane? Like,
so, so not that necessarily, but like when I moved from Iowa to Florida, we drove down. My mom and I drove down, and
Yeah.
so there are documentaries about tornadoes that went through Missouri when we were driving through all of that.
In
And so,
2011.
yep, I
Oh.
I remember being stuck in a standstill on the interstate, and all these storms are coming, and we just pulled over in a town, and we were like, okay, and we're gonna have to stay here tonight. And we walk in, and the hotel has all of their emergency floodlights on. And so that was my initial moving out of the house experience. So that milestone is marked by
Wow.
storms.
That's
Yeah.
bonkers. And it's already such like a nerve-wracking thing anyway, like just upending and your life and moving, and then that on top of it.
Yeah.
It was,
Crazy.
well, I'm so glad that you guys are okay.
Same.
And you have quite the story to tell people now about the Midwest. It's funny you say Indiana too, because immediately I'm like, oh yeah, and I was in a tornado in South Bend at one point.
Where's South Bend?
South Bend, Indiana.
Oh.
It's where Notre Dame is. So when you said that, I think
Oh.
anyone from the Midwest can be like, oh yep, and I also experienced a tornado in that state.
Yes. I feel like quite bonded actually, because everyone had a story to tell. You know, at the next few stops, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, this is what happened to me," and
Yeah.
you know, I was like, "Oh, okay."
It brings us together. It brings us together.
Yes.
In a totally different direction, but I would love to know, have you watched Outlander? Did you finish the TV show? Have you been keeping up with that in your busy days?
I have not finished the TV show. Where did I get to? I think I started, I think it was, I stopped watching and I need to catch up on it. I stopped watching when, was it Claire's daughter? Is it Claire's daughter?
Yeah, Brie.
Brie.
Other Brie.
Yes, Brie. Comes across, and I think I like kind of lost track then, and then like but I need to get back onto it.
You're behind.
I'm really behind, and I was worried because I was like, because I was so addicted to it, and I think I knew that the minute I started watching it again, I would just be completely absorbed into it, and I wouldn't get any work done. So I'm waiting. I'm taking a little bit of time off in September, so I think I'm gonna catch up again then.
Okay.
Yeah, but obsessed with that. I was so addicted to it, and Jamie Fraser, like Sammy Ewan who plays him as well, just dreamboat, absolute dreamboat. Yes. Oh my God.
All those videos on like TikTok and Instagram where the women go and they just touch stones because they go just in case. That will be me in Scotland. I mean, my husband and I have had serious conversations about it where I'm like, just so you know, I will do that. And he's like, but what happens? And I was like, well, if I end up in the 1700s, one, I will probably be accused of being a witch. That much is like for certain. I was like, so two, you have to get that. You have to find me before that happens.
Yes. But also, most importantly, have you said like we're allowed a pass in that scenario?
Yes.
Because if you meet a Jamie Fraser-esque guy, you're gonna have to have a pass. You're gonna have to have pre-permission, surely.
And just it's survival.
Exactly.
I can't help it if I meet Jamie Fraser and I need to marry him to survive.
Exactly. But I mean, you've got to clear that stuff with your husband in this timeline
Yes.
first. But I'm sure he'd understand.
Yeah.
I think he'd understand. Well,
Yeah.
no, obviously. And two, I think he's pretty determined to follow me if that happens.
Okay. Oh, that's
So
nice.
yeah, he's like, well, I at that point I have to figure out a way to get there too. So I'm like, well, you're on a time crunch because I can only meander around for so long by myself there. It's the
Yeah.
1700s. But I'm like, yeah, but if you find me in time before I meet you in person, we're good.
Oh my God. He's gonna have panic stations. Are you actually planning to go to Scotland and visit the Stones?
Um, at some point. So we were actually
Yeah.
supposed to go in 2020.
Oh
And
no.
obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And so we haven't resumed planning for that trip. I was going to say I'm potentially it is not booked and it is still very hypothetical. I'm tentatively going to London this fall, but I don't think I'm going to have time to
Ooh.
make it to Scotland too. So, and
Okay.
that he wouldn't be going on that trip with me, and he would be very bummed if I went to Scotland without him.
Without
So,
him, yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're gonna have to hold it back. It's another excuse for another trip anyway.
Yes.
exactly,
Have you been to
exactly.
London before?
Been one time. I was there for the London Olympics.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It,
So if you come in the fall, you have to let me take you out for a drink because this is where I am in London, middle of London.
love to. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I will
Yeah.
keep you posted.
Yeah.
So I'm tentatively going with my dad. We are trying to plan this because we want to go to the ABBA experience.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and it's closing, I guess, or this is its like final couple of
Oh,
months.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, oh, that's what we heard. So now
Yeah.
we feel very determined to get there beforehand.
Yeah.
But I will let you know. I would love to meet you in person since we didn't get to meet in San Diego like we thought
I
we were maybe going to
know.
get to. So
I know, I know. Well, that would be lovely. Let me know your dates when you know them.
I will, I will.
Okay, quick pivot
Yeah.
since I know we're talking about London and horseback riding and well, semi horseback riding, but have you ever ridden a horse and how did you feel about that experience?
I did ride a horse. We went to the Dominican Republic on
Oh,
holiday. And our family, we went like on a family horse riding trip with a guide. And I didn't like it because I had no control over my horse and it just kept turning around and going the opposite way of everyone else. And everyone was like trying to shout me back, and my horse just kept like wandering off. And then also I had another bad experience with a horse where I was having a picnic with my husband in a field with our little dog. And right, we were in the countryside in the northwest of England. And when we were leaving, like four horses charged at us and like started jostling us. Like there were two, one on either side of me, like jostling us. Like I don't know if they were trying to like scare us out of the field or they wanted like our leftover like picnic food or what. So I've not been on a horse since then, because I was like terrified. But I mean, they're so beautiful and I love them, but I'm scared of them.
I feel like your experience is everyone's experience. That I have yet to meet someone who was like, "Oh my gosh, I had the best horseback riding experience. Everything went so well. It was so easy." Like literally everyone I've talked to was like, "My horse didn't want to do what I wanted it to do. I fell behind the group. I got lost at some point." I'm like,
Yes, and
has
it
anyone
really
ever
hurts your
had a
butt
good
as well.
Yeah.
Like it genuinely hurts. Like I had a bruise.
That is not fun. But I love that you included it in romantic hero as part
Yeah.
of that. Who would you rather come to life as a male main character? River or Cooper?
Oh no! Oh, that's so hard. Oh my God, I love them both so much. Oh my goodness. I think River, because he's so completely different to anyone I've ever met in my real life and has such a different culture to me that I think I would be fascinated to learn more about him. Whereas I feel like with Cooper, I've met some Coopers,
Okay.
and yeah, I think a river would be more fun. I think just seeing that kind of that fish out, experiencing that fish out of water through his eyes, I think would be lovely. And I think he might be is he slightly hotter than Cooper? I don't know.
I mean, you wrote them. So.
But that's such a tough question. Oh my God.
We had to throw hard ones in there every now and then, just to really
hard balls.
Yes.
If you picked one song to pair with Romantic Hero, what would it be?
Oh, well, there's like two directions I could go, which is one is like sentimental, but then that's really, really hard actually.
Hard questions, Brie.
Yeah, no, it's because I love music so much, and I'm just trying to think of something like that would encapsulate their love for each other, and like, I can't think off the top of my head what that would be. Can I think about that, and like maybe we could put it in the show notes?
Yes.
But in terms of a funny one, like that song, Save a Horse Ride a Cowboy. Like, I always think he's just so funny, and like representative of like the surface level of the book, which is, British girl gets stuck with hot cowboy.
Yes.
But for the sentimental, deeper things, yeah. Do you have ideas? What do you think?
I always told Brie, like, as I was reading this book, I always came back to Taylor Swift's Anti-Hero as the song for some reason, because I just felt like I could get that beat with the song. I was just like, yeah. So I always kept hearing Anti-Hero in my head.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cool.
But I would change the words to Romantic Hero.
Romantic Hero, yes. I love that.
But now I feel like we're going to have one that's like very sentimental. The Taylor Swift is going to be kind of middle, and then Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy is going to be so we've got range.
Yes. We've got range. Yeah, I think we can get like a whole cohesive album together. I think.
We should put a whole playlist together for Romantic Hero.
Yes. I went to Texas and for an event, and Kat, the bookseller there, did a little Romantic Hero playlist. So I'll look through that.
Fun.
I love it.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Okay, well, we want to hear more about that, but as we're drifting into all things Romantic Hero, do you want to give listeners just a quick, brief overview of what they can expect from this story?
Yes. So Romantic Hero tells the story of Gertie Bickerstaff, who is a romance writer who has writer's block. She's heartbroken. She's just she's gone on a recent break with her partner Henry, and she's having trouble finishing the final book in her series, and her bonkers neighbor makes her do a manifestation ceremony and is like, this is going to totally clear your writer's block, like, believe me, this stuff works. So they go on the rooftop and they do this manifestation ceremony, and Gertie's like, this is not going to work, this is so ridiculous. But the next day she finds a cowboy on her sofa, a shirtless cowboy who's very confused about why he's there. And they figure out, and she realizes that he's the notorious villain character from her unfinished series. And they have to figure out a way to get him back home to wherever he came from, and to get her to finish the book. It's very hijinksy and funny and escapist. And I think, it deals with themes of grief. Gertie's grieving the death of her sister. We also like explore a lot about what it means to be the main character in your own life. Gertie lives her life as a sidekick, and she revolves around other people, and whereas River is very much like main character energy, and they kind of teach each other to step out of the roles that have been assigned to them throughout their lives. But yeah, I mean, like, it is fun and funny and hopefully very heartwarming. And I think if people liked The Love of My Afterlife, they will like Romantic Hero. I hope.
I, for one, can say I loved it. So
I can second that.
Definitely have fans over here.
Oh, Brill. Thank you. I'm glad.
Yes. Well, I want to get back to you visiting Texas. What was that experience like? Since we know that River he's a rancher. He's from small town Texas. What was your Texas experience?
I wish I got to stay there for longer, and I didn't, because it was such a quick overnighter. So I've been to Texas twice now,
Okay.
and each time for less than 24 hours because of the tour schedule. And each time I'm like, oh, I'm desperate to explore this more, because all of my experiences of Texas, like Gertie, come from like TV and movies. And that's one of the things in the book, is that she originally writes kind of River as like a bit of a stereotype and a cliche, and she comes to realize as she gets to know him that he's got much more depth than this real, his job as a rancher is very important to him, and he's much more complex than she'd thought. I want the chance to experience Texas in a more real way. But one thing I did get to do this time was I went to visit a supermarket called HEB.
I love HEB.
Oh my gosh. So I was with Naina Kumar, who the author who I'd met beforehand, for drinks before the event, and then with Kat, who's the bookseller. And I was telling them how when we were in the Wild Geese basement, we'd been given these things called spicy pickle chips, Miss Vicky's spicy pickle chips, and they were the best crisps I've ever had in my life. So she was like, we've got to go to HEB, we'll find you some pickle chips. So I was like, okay. I was like, they really like this supermarket. Surely it can't be that good. And then I went in and I was like, holy moly, this is like the greatest supermarket of all time.
Yeah.
And it's just, and like, and everyone in Texas just has it. And it's just like, it's just a normal thing for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I am sad that we don't have HEB here. And for the people in America who don't have HEB in their states either.
Yeah.
Well,
that's me. We don't have one.
I don't have one, but my dad lives in Texas, and so I will say he lives in Dallas right now and mainly shops at Tom Thumb, which is also a great grocery store. Tom Thumb. But
That is the
when
cutest name for a grocery store.
no, but when he lived in Austin, he would shop at HEB, and it was so awful because he would always tell me about all the great things that he was getting at HEB that I have no ability to get. And so it was always such an experience when he would go to the grocery store, and he'd be like, or he'd tell me about a recipe he was making. He's like, and I got this from HEB, and you should try it. And I'd go, but Dad, I can't buy that. I don't have
Oh my God. Well, this is it. I think these HEB people like are showing off a little bit.
a little bit.
Like they just like, we've got something that you don't, and it's something special. Like, because when I said because Kat and Naina were like, we'll go to HEB, and I was like, oh, is this like Trader Joe's? And they were like, oh, no. It's so much better than that. And they were right, it was.
It's an experience.
It was fantastic. But that's it. That's what I came away mostly from Texas. No, it was HEB. I was happy with that, yeah. But next time I need to go find some cowboys, I think.
Yes. Go, get out to a ranch somewhere if you can. Get a connection.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, I would love to. And I think I'd planned to go to Austin, because Bedlam Creek is set around the outskirts of Austin. But because I've been to Blue Willow in Houston before, and I fell in love with the booksellers there. I was just like, I want to go, like, if I'm going to Texas, I want to kind of meet up with those guys again. So I think I might try to go to Austin on like a non book promo trip, just for fun.
Austin's cool. Austin is a fun city. So
yeah, it looks great.
it is there, and there's good food there. There's a little bit something for everybody. Well, there's a great indie bookstore scene. So even if you're not on book tour, like to go to a lot of the indie bookstores, there's a lot of really good ones there. But it's cool if you want to spend time outside. There's a lot to do. If it's the summer, it'll be really hot. It'll be like your heat wave. But
all the time.
Wait. Right.
Constant. Yeah, it's not a wave.
Yeah.
And
Glenn Powell is from Austin as well, so that's a bonus.
That too. Yeah, you could run into
He could be the cowboy. Well, he's not a cowboy, but maybe he's wearing his cowboy hat. Cowboy adjacent.
I was going to say, kind of speaking of cowboys, what drew you as the writer to this like writer cowboy kind of nerd jock storyline in this particular setting?
I love a fish out of water. I love a fish out of water story. And I've usually always done it from the viewpoint of the protagonist, and I thought it would be fun to just see it from the viewpoint of the main male lead. Um, but also like the idea for this had originally been a crime book. So it had originally it wasn't for a book, it was for a script that I wanted to write, which was about a bumbling crime author whose serial killer character came to the real world, and she has to kind of work with this detective to help catch the killer. But I don't write crime, so I was like, but I loved the kind of premise, and then I was like, oh, what if it was a romance writer? And originally it was like, what if it was the hero of her book series? And I was like, something isn't sparking. And I was like, what if she was a historical writer and it was like a rake who came to the real world? And I was like, I'm not giddy. And then I thought, what if it was the cowboy villain? And as someone again who like, it is this like fantastical American kind of movie-esque viewpoint of what that world is. And it just really excited me. And I was like, that just sounds like good fun, like really good fun. And a really interesting way to explore stereotypes and the ways that we can kind of break them down when we get to know people. And also I was just like, it's hot. It's just really hot. And also like just the visual, I just kept thinking, what if, if you were watching Four Weddings and a Funeral and then like a big hunky cowboy was in there, like what would that dynamic look like? And I just thought that would be so fun to write. And it was.
And then it was really fun to read.
Yay! No, I'm glad because it was just like it's kind of a silly idea, but as soon as like it clicked into place, I was like, oh, I just want to write that so much. It's going to be so much fun.
That's awesome. Well, kind of on the flip side too, what was really the inspiration behind Henry? Because then we have this sort of seemingly innocent, nerdy type who actually, and I don't think this is much of a spoiler, but like ends up being the bad guy of sorts.
Yeah.
So what was kind of the inspiration? Have you or had you met someone who was like Henry in your life before?
I think I've met possibly many Henrys. As soon as I sense a Henry vibe to someone, I'm out of there. Like I Scarpa, I don't wait around to get to know them. I think one of the core things that formed Henry was the fact that on the outside he looks like he is very lovely and caring, and um it's very insidious the way that he treats Gertie. Um and that was something that I haven't experienced, but I have friends who've experienced those kinds of relationships where it's very confusing because on the surface it all feels very, very lovely and right, and but it's actually really toxic. And then I really liked the idea of him being a genre snob. Like I encounter as a romance writer, and I'm sure as like romance readers as well, you've encountered it. Genre snobbery, it makes me so angry. And I just kind of wanted I guess a little bit of a platform to talk about that through Henry's relationship and Henry's job as a literary fiction writer, and the way that he viewed Gertie and her life's work. Yeah, but I'm really glad that I don't have experience of a Henry in real life in like relationship sense. But yeah, definitely in terms of like meeting snobs, literary snobs as well. Like I hate those guys. Usually guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I will say in that in particular, I've definitely always seen it where I really noticed it, but more so on the flip side was when I went to Love Lit Con, and which was a romance genre convention
Yeah.
of sorts, and just how in a sort of opposite way because it was such a hot topic of conversation amongst
Yeah.
not only the readers but also the writers there
Yeah.
who really wanted to give voice to that and how important the romance genre is and the subgenres within that too. And so
Yeah.
that was really an eye-opening experience for me and also an incredible learning experience to hear from all of these incredible authors, mostly women, but there were some men there too who were really trying to be a voice and an advocate for the genre.
Yeah.
And yeah, try to break away some of that literary snobbery that can
Yeah.
exist because there's a good space for all of it.
Exactly. There's space for all of it, and you shouldn't look down on people for what brings them joy. Like I'm so pleased that nowadays, like the romance community is so loud about their love for romance and how important it is in their lives. When I started in 2012, it was still very much like, you'd say women's fiction, you wouldn't say romance, and like the readers weren't as loud and proud. And it's lovely that it's this very staunch community now. Yeah, I'm so pleased about that.
I completely agree. Well, even just for myself too, I'm like, it's so freeing to be able to just talk about my love of all different genres without
Yeah.
feeling like you have to stifle that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And I would say that that's because of a lot of work that's gone into it by other writers and readers
Yeah.
to uplift that. But it's a very freeing feeling. And then anybody that feels like they have to have an ego about any of it, I'm like, I don't have
Yeah.
time for this.
Well,
And
exactly. And most of it is sexist, I think, because it's like, romance is commercial fiction, and the things that people get snobby about are like elements of commercial fiction, like writing things that are plotty and economical they're not like they're not exactly like lyrical language, and they're very character and plot driven. But that happens in crime, and crime doesn't get half as much snobbery, as romance does. And that's just pure sexism, because it's women who are writing romance primarily and primarily reading it. But I like even now, like when people ask what I write and I say romance, like people say, "Oh, so you just churn them out?" And I'm like,
oh,
no, no,
okay.
like I take this very seriously, Like I take writing romance very seriously. It takes me a long time to do it. I still study the craft of writing, the craft of writing books. And the people who in this genre, like who are writing, there are some people in this genre who are incredible, like some of the best writers in the world, and they're choosing to do this because there is such value in it, and if they wanted to turn their hands to literary fiction, they could do that, but I just hate the assumption that writing romance is a quick or like flippant thing to do, because it doesn't feel that way to me, and I think to a lot of my writer friends as well. Like we really do take this seriously. um
Well, and
yeah.
I think that comes through. It's that maybe this sounds harsh, but I don't care. But when people talk about that, there's just this level of ignorance to it
Mm,
too, because they're not reading it or even taking much of a minute to try to understand it
yeah.
or just to pick up one and
Yeah.
really see what the layers of those stories. And I think too to even
Mm,
there is definitely a sexist component to it because to think about why so many women want to read romance.
yeah.
If you just took a moment to like try to understand that concept and what is going through their brain, maybe you would understand it a little bit more. But there's a
Mm.
level of empathy that has to come with that too, and so
Yes.
many other things. So it's I think it's great to like see a lot of the progress that's been made
Yeah.
with some of that, obviously, though I think there's a lot of work to do. And so, but that just it hurts my heart that somebody would like talk to you in that way and be
Oh,
so
it
flippant.
happens all the time. Like I met somebody at an event who said that they'd read Love of My Afterlife for their book club. And she was like, "Well, it was a different pick for us because usually we read proper books," she said.
Oh,
And I was like, "What does that mean?" And I think she meant like we read like book club books, you know. And yeah, I was like,
You
"Girl."
wouldn't like our podcast.
right. Oh my gosh.
I was like, "Oh, well, that's sad for you. Like these books are awesome. You should read more books like The Love of My Afterlife because they're fun and they connect people and they, you know, and like we have a great time. We're a really great gang of writers." And I didn't say any of that, of course. I was just like, okay.
Sorry we felt that way.
I was like,
Oh my God.
okay, in 3 months I'm gonna slag you off on a podcast.
She'll never know because she definitely doesn't listen to this podcast.
No, and she's missing out, and that's cool. Yeah.
Gosh, that's just like, well, you know what she is like. She's missing out on all of it, and that's a bummer. That's a bummer.
I know, it really, really is. Like, yeah, there's room for everything. There's room for everybody's tastes, and like the world is so hard. It's so hard. Like the last thing anyone should be doing is like picking apart what people are doing for escapism and fun and connection. And
Yeah, or just for a little bit of light. Like the world can be a really dark place, and so if you can escape into a romance book for a little bit of time with a hot cowboy and a writer, then like then do it. Just
yeah,
yeah, because and you can read for like whatever reason, but I don't know. I don't like that when people have a negative connotation with escapism too, because I'm like that's a valid reason to read.
yeah.
It's
And no one is saying this about, say, for example, like a Marvel film, you know, or even a blockbuster action movie, you know, Christopher Nolan. Like people are going watching that for escapism, you know, is valid, but yeah.
or I mean it will to take it on that note too, and I think I've gone on many soapboxes about this on the podcast before too, but even people don't say that about like George R. Martin if they're reading Game of Thrones. They're not like,
Right.
oh, well, that's escapism. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, you're not saying that because he's a man.
Well,
And
exactly. And it's super commercial, it's super plot driven, you know, it's very page turnery. And yeah, it's so bonkers. Hopefully, like, you know, change is coming, I think. It's happening, like we said, like slowly but
it's
surely, I hope.
it is happening. And so we'll end that topic on that positive note.
Yes.
That the progress is really is good. More to do, but the progress is great.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I'm curious, like during your writing process with this one, do you find that you channel in some way your characters or that they speak to you as you're putting pen to paper?
Yes. Yeah, and I used to think before I was writing full time, I used to think, oh, like characters, like when authors used to say, oh, like my characters talk to me, I was like, I don't know about that. And then like it literally happens that way. For me, it happens at around, it doesn't start happening until I'm about 30,000 words in. So a third of the way through the manuscript. For that first 30,000, I find it really difficult because I don't know who these people are. I'm just kind of putting them in different like logistical situations and seeing, you know, how they behave. And this is why I don't like to plan very much either, because I don't know who I'm planning for. And their personality and their character informs so much of what happens and which direction they will choose to go in at any given point in the story. But at about 30,000, they will start chattering and then they get very loud. And it does sometimes feel like, especially if you have a good writing day where you're writing and you're like, oh, I didn't know I knew that. Like you write something and you're like, oh, I didn't know I knew that. Or this kind of, where did that come from? Or I don't even remember writing that. And it does feel like you're channeling something other. Um, which sounds very woo-woo and mystical, but it does feel like that sometimes, I think. And this is again like why I don't plan is because sometimes if I plan too tightly, my character will not stick to the plan if it's not what they want to do. You know, or it will not ring true in the writing, and it's very clear. So yeah, I do definitely feel like there's some kind of, not like a channel in another universe, obviously, but like just some kind of, I don't know. It feels like it comes from somewhere. Maybe it's an amalgamation of all the experiences I've ever had and everything I've ever seen or read or thought about, you know, but yeah, it does feel quite magical sometimes.
I wanted that question asked because I loved that depiction of Gertie in the book, of seeing, you know, like it was like playing out for a movie for her. Like she could pick up
Yeah.
on the scenery and pick up on the town. And I'm sure in some aspect she was probably putting her own playlist together of like, this is this
Yeah.
montage and this is this. And I was so curious if you ever found yourself, you know, doing those same things, because it's just so intriguing that you can almost see it like it's a movie playing out in front of you, and
Yes.
these characters are interacting in this way, and you have the whole township in front of you and
Yeah.
all of that.
Absolutely.
I was curious too, how was your transition from writing Love of My Afterlife then getting into Romantic Hero? And did you find that you needed a break from them? Were these kind of being worked on in tandem, or how did that process work for you?
It was tricky because before The Love of My Afterlife, I always had like a quite a small readership. And suddenly I was reaching lots more readers and I was having lots more feedback, and I was very I didn't want to let anybody down. I wanted to make those readers who enjoyed Love of My Afterlife, I wanted to make everybody happy. So I got into my own head and I wrote like a third of another book, which I ended up throwing away because I was like, it's not good enough. And actually, I look back on it now, and it was good. You know, it would have needed rewrites, but it was good. But at the time, I was just in my head, and everything I was writing felt just felt very untrue, and I had lots of like different voices in my head, and I was very self-conscious. And then, so it was kind of a form of writer's block of my own. And then when I thought about this idea, it was just so at its surface so silly and joyful that it kind of helped me to relax a little bit. So you know, when I told my agent, and she was like see how it goes, and I wrote 15,000 words in one weekend, which is a lot for me. Because I was so in it, and I was just like, oh, now I'm back in like this kind of, it felt playful in the way that I wrote stories when I was a kid. Like, I'm just going to go off on tangents and have fun and not be like reined in, like hemmed in by this very strict plan or like feeling of what I have to put out there. So it was tricky. It was tricky to transition from a book that had more attention than I'd ever been used to this one. But I think it went the way that it had to go, you know, and now like I'm writing my next book and feeling a lot more relaxed about it. But it does seem to do this with me. I have one book that comes out easily and then one book that comes out with great difficulty. And I feel like that will always be the case.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. And well, and I was curious too, now that you've mentioned it, does that also kind of take place in a similar universe? Because I started noticing in Romantic Hero, you were giving a lot of nods to Love of My
Yeah.
Afterlife, especially with
Yeah.
Aled. I'm guessing that's how you say it. I don't know how you actually say his name.
Aled.
That's how I said it. Aled.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, being the librarian again, and if there were
Yeah.
other nods to that same kind of universe.
There will be a couple of like small cameos in the book
Okay.
that I'm writing now, but it is set in the same universe and the same world because the same characters exist.
Okay.
But there's no kind of I guess in Romantic Hero there's no mention of an afterlife or anything like that.
True.
So this one is set in the 5 days. The one that I'm writing now is set in the 5 days leading up to the end of the world. So yeah.
Megan and I
love
have
this.
celebrated such events before together.
Yes, but it's very light. It's very funny, very romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about a woman who has to she's like a homebody. She's very reclusive and like anxious and very rigid. And she has to get from the Outer Hebrides in Scotland where she lives to London to meet her internet boyfriend and have her first ever kiss before the world ends in 5 days. So it's like Never Been Kissed meets Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, but at the end of the world.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's I'm really enjoying writing that one.
Well, do you have, hopefully without spoiling anything, do you have a favorite scene in Romantic Hero, either that you just love to write or that you are excited about for readers?
It was a scene that didn't appear in the first draft, and then it was and then my editors were like, we need more magic to happen before River appears. And so we did the manifestation ceremony with Mrs. Casablancas on the roof. And that was just, again, it went back to that kind of silly playfulness that I love to do. And, you know, and that whole scene just made me laugh. Like all of the manifestation ceremonies just made me laugh so much. And I was just they just came out. They just almost came out fully formed, which is how I tend to know like that it's gonna read well. Like when it just like it's almost like it's almost like it existed somewhere before and I've just transcribed it. So that was my favorite scene, and hopefully not a spoiler because it happens quite early on.
It happens early. So I would say, and I'm glad you said that one because that was one that popped into my mind as where I was literally giggling
Yes.
as I'm just reading it and giggling to myself. So I love that. Well, what would you say are your hopes for readers with this book, especially as they turn the final page?
I I think when people read Romantic Hero, and I think in the same way that I wanted when people read The Love of My Afterlife and read any of my books, I really want people to turn the final page and feel like a sense of oomph as she calls it in the book, in Romantic Hero, give it some oomph, like a sense of courage and like I'm going to go and do something that I was previously scared or wary to do, like just a little kick up the bottom, I think. I don't know, and like just a feeling that you can that you're braver than you thought you were, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that's a lot to ask, but I guess it's what I always want for my readers to see, through the adventures that my characters have had, where they've learned that they're capable of more than they thought. Yeah.
It's so heartwarming in and of itself just to hear you say that. I think that's so cool. Well, I feel that whenever I get to read your books too, and back to what we were saying too, I think that that is one of the important things people can take away from the romance genre too, a
Yeah.
lot of the time. Well, couple last things before we wrap up. Last year it was announced that an adaptation of The Love of My Afterlife is in the works, which first of all, congratulations on
Thank you.
that.
Thanks.
That's that's so exciting. Well, so what was it like getting that news?
Oh, it was incredible. It happened really quickly as well, which was just like unexpected. And I got to meet the producers for dinner a couple of years ago in LA, which was great, and they're fantastic. And then I don't know if you saw, but Romantic Hero has also been announced as it's been
No.
optioned. Yeah, so so that's really cool. So that was with so it's been it's Amazon, MGM, and a production company called Sullivan Street. And the script, I think the script is almost finished, and that's been written by a wonderful writer called Pete Chiarelli, who wrote he wrote The Proposal, and he co-wrote the adaptation of Crazy Rich Asians as well, which is one of my favorites.
I
So
just read that trilogy.
oh, really? Yeah. So and he's fantastic, and he has so many great ideas about how to make Romantic Hero work on screen, and
Well,
uh,
here's our plug to get Glenn Powell in as the
oh
as
my God,
River.
can you imagine? Oh my God, he'd be perfect. He'd be perfect.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, so,
Yeah.
and maybe it looks different for both of them, but what will or is your involvement like with the films?
I am I'm like a technically an executive producer on both, which means that I have like I'm able to consult on things, and I have done already. Like I've given notes on not on the romantic hero script, but on the first script, and like it's very light involvement. Like I've had a meeting with the writer for Romantic Hero, and he's talked to me about like what I really want to see in there, what's important to me that doesn't get, left behind and things like that. So, um, I these guys know what they're doing, so I don't want to kind of like get in the way of their process
Sure.
if I can help it. I definitely, though, 100% want to be involved in helping to cast the male leads. And I've also said as well, like if Love of My Afterlife starts shooting, there's a big scene in Hyde Park, and I would really like my dream is to have all of my friends and family like be the extras in the park that day.
Awesome.
I
Oh,
don't know
that's
if they'll
so
let
cool.
me do that. I know it's probably very silly and juvenile of me to ask, but I'm like, please, please.
That would be so cool.
Wouldn't that be
I
fun?
Yes.
I
And then when
love
you watch it together, you can be like, oh, there I was, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly. Someone said to me, on one of my events, they were like, "Oh, would you do a cameo?" And I was like, "I'd
that
love to do a cameo, but I think that I would be really bad at it. I think I would be like, I would just keep looking into the camera, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'd be walking along, and then I'd be like,
Yeah.
and just really embarrass myself."
wait, I kind of want you to do that.
Yeah.
And then I could be like, we've talked to her. Well, that's even like whenever we watch an adaptation, my husband and I too, if the author does a cameo, I'll be like, oh, and there they are. And he's
Yeah.
like, okay. And I'm like, no, no, no. I'm like, this wouldn't have
That,
happened if it wasn't for that person.
But they always look really cool and like they belong there, and they just, yeah. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. I think I would just like I would be like, just like, just I don't know, hamming it up or doing something stupid.
Uh, That that's so amazing. Well, I hear you. Like I think that's really cool that you're just like respecting that space, but I also love to hear that they still want your voice and your vision to
Yeah.
be like really involved or an important component of that too. That's like reassuring as readers because I think we
Yeah.
all know like readers can be very, very sensitive to
Yeah.
adaptations. So
Yeah.
that's comforting to hear too.
Yeah, they've been really fantastic about that, and they very much want to keep the heart of the books in place, which I'm really pleased about. I fully trust them.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I can't believe we didn't know that. I feel like we've been living under a rock about Romantic Hero that I'm so disappointed in us.
No, I mean I announced it a while ago. Maybe I need to like kind of do another post about it because it was a while. It was like maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, and because it's before the books come out, maybe it's like slips people's news feeds. I don't know.
yes. Get another blast out there. The people will want to know.
Well, we can we'll blast it out when the episode comes out too. We'll be like, and by the way,
By the way, big
in
news.
case you missed it, we have some news. Yeah, it's not new news, but we can promote it that way.
But it's good news.
Good news.
It's great news. It's
Yeah.
excellent news, amazing news. Well, for everybody that does want to follow along, keep in touch and know all about your upcoming book and the adaptations, oh gosh, I can't talk. Anything else going on in your life, where is the best place for them to connect with you?
The best place is my newsletter, which I send out it probably at least once a month, and that's just like updates on what's going on, any new bonus material. I've got a bonus chapter for Romantic Hero going out in a couple of weeks, which is from River's point of view. A little bit of an insight into Bedlam Creek. And like any discounts and things like that. And then social media wise, I'm pretty much just on Instagram. I Maybe I should be on other social media sites I don't know, but I like Instagram, and the other ones make me feel a bit bleh. So I don't know. Yeah, Instagram at Kirsty_Greenwood. And I'm updating there like multiple times a week, pretty much.
Perfect.
And we will link to that in the podcast notes as well, along with the song. Once it comes through, we'll make sure that everything is in the podcast notes for everybody. But thank you so much again, Kirsty, for this just enchanting episode. This was amazing.
This was so much fun. Thank you, guys. And thank you for getting up so early for me.
And we're more than welcome. I will get up early for you any day.
Yep. Next book, we're happy to just let us know. Tell us when we might be in like pajamas, but we'll be there.
3 a.m. I'm going to do 3 a.m. I'm going to beat the other woman. Yeah.
It's a competition now. Who can make Narratives and Nightcaps get up the early?
Yeah. Which author is the biggest dickhead?
Well, we will be sure to follow along as well, so we can know when you're coming back, when we get to read another one of your books. But in the meantime, celebrate love, laughter, uniqueness, and the magic found in books with Romantic Hero now. Cheers!
Cheers!
Thanks so much for listening. The Narratives and Nightcaps podcast is a production of The Craft Co., with intro music created by Remington Haynes.
Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow at Narratives and Nightcaps on Instagram, or visit our website, narrativesandnightcaps.com.
Sign up for our newsletter to always know what we're reading next, which authors are joining us on the show, and for extra bookish and beverage info.
Connect with our additional co-hosts, Jordan and Emily, as well.
You can find me on Instagram at Cozy Reads and Sips.
And you can find me on Instagram at books.bottles.
Cheers!
Cheers!